A while back I did a video called Books for Writers, in which I recommended some nonfiction books that will help you to improve your fiction. Today I thought I'd focus on what sort of short stories or novels you might want to read and how you might want to read them. So let's hit it. Okay, so I'm going to begin with an idea for choosing what to read that I wish someone had told me about when I was younger, when I first started writing fiction. So what you do is you go to the library, preferably one that uses the Dewey Decimal System, as that's a better setup for what I'm about to suggest. And then you pick out one of the sections in fiction, and then you go through every book in that section and read the first page or two in order to get a sense of the writing. Do not read the book jacket, okay? Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to discover what kind of writing grips you, what kind of writing pulls you in and makes you want to keep reading regardless of what the subject matter is. And then, once you've picked out a handful of books that manage to suck you in more than any of the others, you check those books out and go home and read them. Now, oftentimes you'll find that as you get further into a book, you lose interest, and that's fine. Set the book aside and start on the next one. Because the goal here isn't to read as many books as possible, it's to read the books that best represent the kind of writing that holds your attention. And why is that so important? Because the kind of styles that you enjoy reading are going to be the kind of styles that you're ultimately going to utilize in your own fiction. Reading for subject matter is great, it's fun, but if your goal is to improve your own writing, you need to figure out what kind of writing is able to hold your interest before you even know where the book is headed. And the best way to do that I've come up with is the system I've just put forward. Okay, so just so you know that I'm not sending you on some sort of foolish quest, I thought I'd talk briefly about my own experience. Now, as I said, nobody gave me this advice when I first started out, and so I spent a great deal of time slogging through books that, though they may have offered something in terms of their subject matter, or perhaps they were philosophically profound and therefore taught me a great deal about life, but in the end, a lot of these books didn't show me how to write because their authors wrote in a way that I would never want to emulate. I did, however, through a great deal of trial and error, come to better understand the kind of writing that I enjoy. For example, I've learned that I prefer narrators who display a great deal of personality. I don't know if it's because I feel like I'm dealing with a real person or what, but the more a narrator separates him or herself out from the fray, the more likely I'm going to enjoy the writing. The other thing I've learned is that I love reading dialogue, especially short, snappy exchanges between witty characters. The flip side of this is that I don't much care for novels that do almost nothing but narrate. I want to listen in on the characters as they talk to each other, not hear a summary of what they said from a narrator. So, all of this now begs the question, do I in fact replicate the styles that I like in my own fiction? Well, if you've read my novel, Me and Gepe, on sale now, then I think you'll agree that I do. First of all, you can find dialogue on almost every page. And second, the narrator writes in a way that certainly isn't ordinary, as you can judge by yourself by reading what's on your screen, which is the first sentence of the novel. In other words, I do in fact practice what I preach. Now, at the beginning of this video, I promised to talk about two things. I've covered what to read, now let's discuss how to read. So, you've checked out your books and you've managed to read some of them all the way to the end. And let's say you've been doing this system for several months now. What you've essentially been doing is reading broadly. You've been getting a sense of different authors and different styles in order that you know what's out there and what you like. Now it's time to read deeply. What you want to do is, you want to pick your favorites amongst all of what you've read and reread them. This time with a much closer eye towards what's really happening on the page. What you're trying to figure out is how, sentence by sentence, and even word by word, this particular story managed to grab you and hold your attention. What are the techniques the author is using? How is he or she building his fictional world? Now, if you're not familiar with this way of reading, which is very often different from the kind you'll learn in your English classes, well, that's what this channel is all about. I've already done several videos on how to analyze fiction, including an entire video dedicated to analyzing the first sentence of my novel, the one you saw earlier. And of course, I'm going to continue to do more of these types of videos. So if you need help in this area, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And also ask questions in the comment section so that I can provide you with more videos that will help you to grow as a writer. peace.